Greetings and salutations. This is the voice of Loquacious of Herd, bringing you his afterthoughts on My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, Season 6, Episode 17, titled Dungeons and Discords. I heartily suggest that you find and watch the episode itself, sans commentary, before proceeding with either this Afterthoughts review or viewing my full reaction, which is hosted at the link in the description. Be warned, this Afterthoughts review will contain spoilers for the episode. And with that out of the way, on to the review. Well done, Hasbro, well done. I was greatly amused by this bit of cross-property marketing you arranged, and I found the episode itself quite enjoyable. For the record, I am myself a gamer, and have been for a great many years. I find tabletop role-playing games are a source of considerable pleasure and delight, a chance to hang out with friends and indulge in collaborative storytelling, exercises of imagination and whimsy, and general dice-rolling shenanigans. So yes, I have played Dungeons & Dragons. I've played it in several editions, with my greatest fondness for the game being for the most recent, or 5th edition, followed closely by the old 3rd edition and its various D20 spin-offs, of which Pathfinder is the best known. As a bit of history, some of which is very common knowledge these days, Dungeons & Dragons is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game originally designed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. The first publication was in 1974 by Tactical Studies Rules Incorporated, abbreviated TSR. It was taken over by Wizards of the Coast in 1997, and they were responsible for the shift to 3rd edition. The Wizards of the Coast was subsequently acquired as a subsidiary of Hasbro, who, as I'm sure you know, also owns My Little Pony. Thus this lovely bit of cross-promotion, advertising D&D to the pony fans. Dungeons & Dragons grew out of traditional tabletop war games, where each player controlled the actions of a small army or military formation, represented by figurines and models on a battlefield map, and engaged in armed clashes, whether with historical forces or with fantasy armies. These tabletop turn-based strategy games were also the ancestor of the real-time strategy, or RTS, computer games we have today. Gygax and Arneson enjoyed playing these war games, but they thought that rather than command squads or platoons on the battlefield, it might be fun to command individual heroic units, and rather than just playing out combat scenarios, to instead build and develop more of a story, a world, and personalities behind these miniature figures. Thus, modern-day role-playing games were born. I find it to be a fun hobby, and an ever-growing and more popular one. By now, it's settled nicely into the mainstream, though still on the nerdier and geekier ends of that stream. Perhaps, gentle viewer, you're a gamer yourself, or have at least dabbled. Perhaps you've never given it a try. As with any hobby, not everyone will enjoy it, but that's fine. If you enjoy computer role-playing games, massively multiplayer or not, or if you enjoy fantasy or science fiction literature or films, and have found yourself getting really wrapped up in a particular character, thinking to yourself, if only they were acting as I think they should in this circumstance, this awesome story would be even more awesome. In short, if mental games and daydreams of the what-if variety appeal, then tabletop role-playing can be a fun way to explore such stories. A usual caveat for any sort of group social activity applies. Games are good and fun when you've got a good and fun group of people together. Sometimes people and their personalities clash. Some folks get different things out of the gaming experience, and as a result, some gaming groups can be a lot of fun for you, while others will be decidedly less so. I find that it's the people who make the gaming good. As with many things, I find that good friends can take a mediocre gaming experience and make it fun, and a fun gaming experience and make it awesome. So, diving into this lovely pony episode, Dungeons and Discords. I enjoyed how Discords Tuesday teased with Fluttershy are still very much a thing. Also, while the other ponies among the main 6 may now be more accepting of Discord after the events of What About Discord, he still views Fluttershy as his closest friend, and perhaps his only true friend. Alas, Celestia has asked all of the main 6 to accompany her on an overnight excursion, a goodwill tour of Yak-Yakistan. This leaves Discord at loose ends. Even if he has grown close enough with the others to, say, hang out with Rainbow Dash or Applejack, Rarity or Pinkie Pie, all of the main 6 will be out of town. Knowing that a bored and mopey Discord is a recipe for trouble, Fluttershy suggests that he hang out with Spike and Big Mac, who often get together when Twilight and Applejack are away. I love this nod back to the cutie map, where Spike remained behind to talk hoofball with Mac. Discord finds the idea of hanging out with sidekicks laughable, though his mocking of it by creating an opposite-day-style alternate dimension complete with inverted colors does backfire on him as opposite Fluttershy cuts loose on Mr. Sassafras. A quick return to normality, and a Fluttershy adorably shocked by what her flip-side self is like, and Flutters continues to gently press the issue that Discord ought to expand his circle of friends. I also like Discord calling out Fluttershy's indulgence in reverse psychology, especially his noting that she's better than that. But she did make her point, and got Discord to at least consider the idea. To Discord's subsequent suggestion that he might tag along on the Yak-Yakistan trip, I heartily joined the other ponies in shouting down that notion. Equestria doesn't need to be plunged into another world war. I approve of how we got the whole alternate or pocket dimension thing established this early in the episode. When it came into play later, that transition felt extra smooth and seamless because of the inverted world Discord had, created, magically transported them to, whatever. As usual, the writing and animation team did an excellent job of setting up a Chekhov's gun. At the train station, we get Discord still trying to find a way to keep Fluttershy around, but it appears Fluttershy's been taking eyebrow-raising lessons from Applejack. So Discord is staying behind with Spike and Big Mac. Both of them seem quite anxious for the girls to be gone so they can get into their supposedly super-secret guys-only fun activities. I rolled my eyes a bit at this the first time around, but I like how the show plays with common perceptions of role-playing games and gaming. Coming out of the tabletop wargaming hobby, the tabletop role-playing game hobby was very heavily male-dominated for a long time. It was seen as the province of geeky guys lurking in their parents' basements. And a lot of the nerdy fellows in question did try to keep gaming a boys-only club of sorts. Even today, with role-playing gaming going so much more mainstream, girl gamers can find it a little extra challenging to get into the hobby, as not all of its enthusiasts make them feel welcome around the table. For my own part, I've always tried to make the games I play in or run to be as welcoming and fun for all comers, new gamers and old, girls as well as boys. Plenty of the gamers I know do the same, and I'm glad that, over the years, tabletop role-playing gaming has grown into a hobby that attracts a much more broad and diverse fan base. I find the broadness and diversity helps make it even more fun for all involved. Kind of like ponies, actually. Indeed, the implicit and explicit treatment of the game of ogres and oubliettes as a guy's thing in this episode mirrors how ponies are seen as a girl's thing in our own society. But back to the episode. With the main six safely on their way, Spike and Big Mac invite Discord to join their mysterious guys' night. Neither side seems initially enthusiastic about the prospect, with Spike and Big Mac radiating an air of only inviting Discord along because they've been asked off-screen to include him, and Discord quite openly indicating that he considers hanging out with Spike and Big Mac to be beneath him. However, Discord does have some rather traditional ideas about what a guy's night would entail, and that sort of thing sounds like it might be fun for him, so he agrees to meet with them at sundown at Twilight's castle. Sundown arrives, adorable It's Guys' Night dance from Spike and Back ensues, followed by Discord's over-the-top arrival and his immediate attempts to railroad the guys into Discord's idea of a good time. I must admit that I'm curious as to what two rowdy establishments in Ponyville are. But no, Spike reveals that Guys' Night involves awesome games. Discord again takes the lead, transporting them to an iconic wood-paneled basement for a game of famous pony charades. Also, kudos for continuing to remind the audience that Discord can do the whole dimension-swapping about thing. Discolestia is hilariously disturbing, and Discord petting the purring mane of Celestia is adorably disturbing. I loved how her mane meowed and hopped off his lap as, with a snap of his fingers, Discord returned himself, Spike, and Big Mac to conventional reality. I found myself quite curious. Did Discord just create the, Celesticat? Or was that Celestia's actual mane, transported from her head and given a feline semblance of life? I couldn't help but wonder if, for those few moments, somewhere up in Yak-Yakistan, Celestia spontaneously went bald, before her mane came running and meowing back up to her and then leapt to its proper place upon her head. What would her expression have been, and the expressions of those around her? Other than through fan art, the world may never know. Well, unless the show decides to do what it has done before, and next week's episode shifts the focus to Celestia and the main six's adventure in Yak-Yakistan. But back to Dungeons and Discords. Spike stays on point, and the big reveal, Spike and Big Mac play Ogres and Oubliettes. Cue shocked face from Discord, an expression which says, "Oh no, I've stumbled into a nest of nerds." While I'm sure Hasbro could have gotten away with using the name Dungeons & Dragons, given that they own D&D at the moment, doing so would have been slightly problematic given that Spike himself is a dragon. So the terrifying monsters? Ogres, and the dungeon where they're found? An oubliette. Technically, an oubliette is a type of dungeon, traditionally a large chamber whose only entrance and exit is located in the ceiling, and which one enters by being lowered down on a rope, if one is lucky, or simply being pushed in to fall to the floor if one isn't lucky. The trapdoor is then shut, and getting out again is exceedingly problematic if the jailers who have tossed you in there don't want you escaping. The word oubliette is from the French for a place of forgetting, or a forgotten place. It's quite literally a hole in the ground where you toss people to forget about them, possibly forever. This clever bit of O&O alliteration replaces its parallel game for Dungeons & Dragons and makes an appearance in the comics, as I recall. And for what little canon overlap there might be between the comics and the show, Twilight's brother, Shining Armor, played it back in his high school days. Spike does an admirable job of explaining the particular fantasy setting for the game he and Big Mac are currently playing. He sets up the scenario and invites Discord to make a character and join in. Discord, well, let's just say he's not into the whole thing. He very begrudgingly makes a half-hearted attempt to participate, when he's not savaging Spike and Big Mac with his wit and one-liners. But when Discord's "I'd rather be elsewhere" attitude leads to him ignoring his character to act as himself, the game's dice aren't kind, and he fast becomes a parsnip-clawed laughingstock of the Squizzard's minions and the other player characters. I'm not going to comment on Spike's narrative for his game world, nor on the concept of a Squizzard, because as a reactor who uses a Borg pony avatar and the moniker Loquacious of Herd, I quite enjoy the view from my glass house, and have no interest in throwing stones when it comes to other folks' punny senses of humor. The most I will permit myself is an "I see what you did there," and yes, I see it quite clearly. Goodness knows I've seen and done worse pun-related jokes in various role-playing games myself. Discord doesn't take kindly to being laughed at, but kudos to him. While his reaction is anger, he channels that into an attempt to find some other activity they can all enjoy. He prejudged this hobby of gaming as something he wouldn't like, made a very lame stab at participating, and then ditched the attempt. All of which felt a little too true to life when it comes to efforts to involve a new friend in an existing hobby. But I do like how he still does want to hang out with the boys, to be involved and included, which is why he drags the boys to a jazz club. The references fall hard and heavy. Discord is in a zoot suit straight out of The Mask. A blink and you'll miss it Betty Boop was a perfect conclusion for this nightclub. The whole thing has a jazz age vibe, and Betty Boop was the iconic caricature of a jazz age flapper. Not surprising given that she was, let's just say, rather closely based upon the singer Helen Kane. This is followed by an even more extensive shot of a pony version of Josephine Baker, also known as Chiquita Banana, walking across the foreground. You know, one of the things I love about My Little Pony is that when I dig into some of its references, I find out all sorts of neat tidbits from history. I hadn't heard of Josephine Baker before. She was an American-born French dancer, jazz and pop singer, actress, and all-around fascinating person. She was the first black woman to star in a major motion picture back in 1934. She was a supporter of the civil rights movement who refused to perform for segregated audiences, and she was someone who assisted the French Revolution in World War II, for which she was awarded the Croix de Guerre and made a Cavalier of the Légion d'Honneur. Apologies for my mangling of the French language. Josephine was friends with and a muse to a number of famous people in the literary, art, and fashion world of Paris in the 30s, including Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Picasso, and Christian Dior. Anyway, while Big Mac understandably can appreciate watching the especially lovely Chiquita Banana walking by, so sultry, Spike isn't up for playing poker with some dogs, and both of them really would rather get back to gaming. If Discord isn't interested in participating, he's welcome to sit and watch. Even before Discord's reaction to that suggestion, I felt that Spike may have crossed a line there. Discord spent 1,000 years unable to do anything but sit and watch. Little else to do when you're a statue, after all. And while I don't think Spike meant his comment to have this sort of "could you please go away to prison forever" undertone, communication can be a tricky thing. We don't always hear what the other person means, just what they say, and sometimes due to our own preconceptions, what they say can have a whole other meaning to us. What Discord hears makes him furious. So Discord decides to use his twice established in this episode alone, shift them all to another place powers, to toss Spike and Big Mac into the world of the game as their characters. Then Discord takes over the role of narrator or dungeon master. Sorry, I suppose it would be Oubliette Autark? Regardless, the sudden appearance of cardboard cutout foes and the very real pain and damage that ensues is a bit on the overwhelming side. Discord isn't running this encounter for fun, or at least not for anyone's enjoyment but his own, and neither Spike nor Big Mac are appreciative of being actually beaten up by the process. Spike calls Discord out on his bad behavior, and Discord's flippant, "Then why did you invite me?" is answered with the truth. They invited him because they felt sorry for him. This felt so good. Discord's shocked that someone would find his lonely state pitiable, that even the local nerds consider him a bit of a weirdo. This was so well done. And Spike and Big Mac's trying to be friendly and inviting spoke well of their characters. Spike breaks down the situation for Discord, laying out how and why Spike and Big Mac were moved to invite Discord to join them for what was supposed to be a good time, and here Discord was only mocking and ruining it. Discord, well chastened, bows out. But as he does so, it is clear that Discord is only just now realizing what he's missing out on. A chance at friendship, and a chance to hang out with friends trying something new, to him, that, if he were to just get over himself and wholeheartedly join in, just might be a whole lot of fun. Spike and Big Mac return to their game, but big softies and kindly-hearted fellows both, their sympathy for Discord once again comes out to the forefront, so they invite him back for another chance at the game. And Discord is a Discord. He arrives, eager to be included, with a sarcastic, self-aggrandizing quip, one which is entirely out of place, and even he knows it. But genuine, heartfelt apologies for actively striving to ruin his friend's enjoyment of a game, and for thinking of himself as superior to his friends, belittling and looking down on him, these are hard for Discord to get out. But get them out he does, because, and this is important, he really is sorry for his recent misbehavior. He's trying. Sometimes he's very trying, so being his friend can be quite hard. But friendship is clearly something that Discord has found is important to him. So even if he can be really bad at it on occasion, he is willing to own up to his mistakes, no easy task that, and try again. Plus, bonus, at Spike and Big Mac's request, he can even liven up the game. Discord's own magical skills at reality warping can allow the best of the whole bringing the game world to life thing without the unpleasant true pain and suffering involved as a consequence of poor in-game choices or the cruelties of a bad dice roll. Also, Discord as a Legolas figure, complete with parsnip claws courtesy of his earlier mistake with magic, is a perfect addition to the Wizard and Black Knight group. Now, taken on its own, this whole problem and resolution provides us with a wonderful set of friendship lessons. Perhaps not letter to Celestia in your face with the Aesop-esque moral, but still valuable modeling of good friends in action. Like Fluttershy, you look out for your friends. If they need help, such as a bored Discord feeling abandoned by his dearest friend, then you do what you can to get them some help, such as offering them an alternative bit of socialization. When someone who isn't yet a good friend, but a reasonably friendly acquaintance, wants to hang out with you and your mates, as is the situation with Discord joining Spike and Big Mac, you welcome and include them, even if they are sort of weird. That weirdness may turn out to be something that makes the whole thing more fun for all concerned. If you're the one being brought into an existing social group's activities, then you should be gracious about it. Don't pull a Discord, prejudging, mocking, and belittling what others enjoy without even attempting to find your own joy in whatever it is. And if you mess up, own up to it and apologize. If someone else messes up but is genuinely sorry, forgive them. Second chances are something friends give each other. It seems to me that this episode didn't just model a single, simple problem with a specific resolution, but a much more socially complex interaction with its many and diverse difficulties and rewards. I liked it. They could have ended the episode there, and it would have been fine. But no, the show wanted to take it up another notch or two from just fine. So we have the return of the main six, who are treated to the sight of Captain Was, Garbuncle, and Sir McBiggin locked in battle with the undead paper armies of the evil Squizzard, leading to the trio's resulting victory. Initial reactions from the girls are looks of confusion and amusement, but when Twilight, who probably recognizes a role-playing game from her brother's involvement with such things back in the day, suggests just walking away and letting the boys finish up, Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie both enthusiastically dive into the game. and the boys welcome them, bringing the adventuring party up to a 5-person team, with the addition of Rainbow Dash the Ninja and Pinkie Pie the Bard. After the whole struggle for Discord to accept gaming as a fun thing, followed by the need for Spike and Big Mac to accept a repentant Discord back into their gaming group, the acceptance of having 2 of the girls join in Guys Night was a wonderful way to send the message that while role-playing games may be seen as just a guy thing, further, just a nerdy, uncool guy thing, role-playing games really are more of a, regardless of who it's traditionally marketed towards, anyone can enjoy this thing. Rather like My Little Pony. Friendship is Magic. If you wish to see my full reaction to My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Season 6, Episode 17, titled Dungeons and Discords, the link, as I mentioned earlier, is in the description. Feel free to leave any comments or likes for that reaction here on this Afterthoughts review. And until next time, as always, kindly remember, y'all are awesome. Stay awesome.